This is Celebration TV. Revealing Jesus, releasing destinies. This is Celebration TV. Revealing Jesus, releasing destinies. This is Celebration TV.
Amounted to 15.7 trillion naira by the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikule Amosu.
You're welcome to the news desk on Celebration TV. I am Sherry Quinsley-Rama. Here are the news making the rounds for today. Reps abandon probe of NDDC road contracts. Uganda targets over 10% jobs before school resume. August Pact, France and US seek to mend rift. Cooking gas marketers lack facilities, says NLNG. Price hits 7,000 naira. On sports, Agbaje prepares for first fight in the UK. To stay with us after this very short break, I'll bring you the news in full. Do not go nowhere. You're welcome back, and now the news in full. Reps abandon probe of NDDC road contracts. The House of Representatives has abandoned the probe it initiated into capital projects by Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC in Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta and River States. This is as Undokwa National Youth Movement, the NNYM, yesterday vowed to shut down activities of the NDDC. Should the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, fail to relinquish his stronghold on the commission and allow for inauguration of a substantive board of but to run its affairs. Also, an ex-militant Mr. Austin Bright has tasked President Muhammadu Buhari to constitute a substantive board for the NDDC. It will be recalled that the House of Representatives had on August 26, 2019, initiated a probe into the abandonment of capital projects by NDDC in the Niger Delta states, but was abandoned midway. The House Ad Hoc Committee on NDDC was headed by Nicholas Osai. According to documents, the committee summoned governors of Niger Delta states, ministers, and other agencies of government to explain their roles in the abandonment of the project. The probe commenced within 2 weeks through a public hearing at the National Assembly but stalled along the way. Right now, moving forward from that story, Ohanaeze demands Kanu's release. IPOB threatens 30-day shutdown. The indigenous people of Biafra has threatened to declare a month sit-at-home protest in Biafra land if its leader Nnamdi Kanu is not brought to court on October 21st. The Media and Publicity Secretary of the secessionist group Ima Powerful made this known yesterday in a statement released to the media. He said if the federal government refuses to bring him to court in his next court appearance on October 21st, 2021, the entire Biafra land will be on total lockdown for 1 month. INT'L publicist further said they are busy granting amnesty to terrorists and bandits killing their soldiers and citizens, but keeping peaceful agitators in perpetual detention. Meanwhile, the APES Igbo Social Cultural Organization, Ohanyeze Ndigbo, has described as unnecessary the plan by IPOB to lock down the southeast, adding that it will inflict more injuries on the people of the region. Ohanyeze said to bring Nnamdi Kanu out from detention was a task the leaders of the southeast must achieve, adding that other means to bring him out other than the court process was being considered. The organization's National Policy Secretary Alex Ogbonai said he didn't believe it was IPOB as coached by Kanu that issued the threat. Reacting to IPOB's threat, the Nigerian Police Zone 9 headquarters Umuoya said it had put measures in place to ensure peace and order in the zone. Accordingly, the Zonal Police Public Relations Officer Kingsley Iredibia expressed his conviction that the court in Abuja would make good its words. Hence, there would be no need for people to panic after the date. Right now in another news stories, Mo Abudu's Ebony Live Sony Pictures set up African Writers Initiative. Mo Abudu's Ebony Live Media and Sony Pictures Television have partnered to set up a writers' initiative targeted at Africans, which they name ALO. ALO is translated from Yoruba as Once Upon a Time. It will create a platform for African writers to submit their story document and television scripts, Variety reported this. According to the Chief Executive Officer of Ebony Life Abidu, the name ALO is an inspiration to her. From September 24th to November 5th, the initiative would be open for submissions which will pass through the scrutiny of Ebony Live and SPT executives. Shortlisted writers will be opportune to create a pilot script in agreement with the organizers and upon successful completion, pitch their projects to recognized international broadcasters. Early last month, Ebony Live TV also partnered with Universal Pictures and will Parker Production to get adaptation rights for a movie on Ramon Abbas, also known as Ray Hush Puppy, who is being detained as part of an investigation into money laundering, cyber fraud, hacking, and scamming. And our news coming from around Africa. Uganda targets over 10% jabs before school resume. Uganda is aiming to vaccinate at least 6 million people against COVID, more than 10% of its population by the end of the year before schools can reopen. About 4.8 million of these are categorized as high priority, and they include health workers, teachers, students aged 18 and above, and security personnel. The education sector will then reopen in January, except for universities and other higher education institutions, which have been cleared to reopen from the 1st of November. So far, just 600,000 people have been fully vaccinated since the first doses arrived in March, representing just over 1% of the population. Schools were first closed in March last year and reopened in phases later in the year. They were, however, closed again in June this year when the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic hit the country. In a televised national address on Wednesday, President Yoweri Museveni said there were about 2.2 million COVID-19 vaccine doses available in the country at the moment, with an estimated 10 million more expected to arrive in coming months. The president has directed all local district leaders to mobilize the public to get vaccinated, threatening them with dismissal if any vaccines expire on their watch. He has also eased restrictions on places of worship and social events such as weddings, allowing up to 200 people to attend. Restrictions remain for bars, concerts, and other entertainment events, which Mr. Museveni referred to as a high risk. And now moving forward from that story. Now, Somalia screens first public film in 30 years. Somalia has hosted its first public film screening in 30 years under heavy security, raising hopes of a cultural revival in the turbulent country. This took place yesterday at the National Theatre of Somalia in the capital, Mogadishu, which was used as a military base during the civil war when cinema going ceased. Filmgoers enjoyed 2 short movies by the Somali director Ibrahim CM, with tickets going for $10 each. Built in 1967, the theatre was seen as an important driver for Somalia's cultural development in the 1970s and 80s. It was closed in 1991 at the onset of the Civil War and was used as a base for warlords fighting over the city. It fell into disrepair as a result. It then reopened in 2012 after repair by the African Union mission in Somalia, only to be blown up immediately by an Al-Shabaab Islamist militant who considered live entertainment and films to be morally corrupt. Right now, we'll take a short break. When I get back from that break, I'll bring you news update from the foreign scene. I will be right back. Do not go away.
Glory be to God. The impact train is still moving around the world. Do you live in Enugu State? Do you live in Anambra State? Do you live in Imo State? Do you live in Ebonyi State? I'm coming to Abia. I'll be in Umuahia for Impact 2021. Are you believing God for a touch in your life? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? You have tried the rest. Why not try the best? Jesus makes the difference. I see your village. I'm hearing something like Uli.
Je vois ton village, j'entends non?
Uli. Yes, sir. I speak with a man. It's like your husband. His name is Aloma.
Son nom c'est Aloma.
Say they shall confess. They shall confess. I saw 2 people holding a book. And in that book that I'm seeing in the realm of the spirit, I saw an appointment that should favor you. But one of them is saying they should cancel it. Do you know Bata? Yes, sir. I know Bata. There's a man I'm seeing there, and that man has been looking for how to help you, but they keep blocking you. But God said to tell you, by the power of the Holy Ghost, you shall be helped. If you're in a wheelchair, rise up from the wheelchair. Raise your walking aid. Raise it.
Soulève ça.
Run. Go. Look at another one here.
Regarde, un marche. Un marche.
Miracles.
Le miracle. 2 béquilles là-bas.
Jesus.
Au nom de
So many
Jésus.
miracles. Let her walk. Let her walk.
Papa, this woman has been using this walking aid for 3 years. She said without this flame, she could not stand and she could not walk. As you release the healing power, she dropped the flame and started walking.
Give God a shout. I'm coming to Umuahia because of you.
Date 5th and 6th October 2021. Happening at the International Conference Center, Ogurube Layout beside CBN, Umuahia, Abia State, Nigeria. The time is 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. GMT +1. For inquiries, please call.
Welcome back. We are still on the news desk on Celebration TV. And now news coming from the foreign scene. AUKUS pact, France and US seek to mend rift. France and the United States have made efforts to end the war which started last week with the announcement of the AUKUS defense pact between the United States, UK and Australia. The pact cost France a deal worth $37 billion to build submarines for Australia. Paris said it found out only hours before the public announcement. The American and French presidents have now issued a joint statement saying the situation would have benefited from open consultations between allies. Announced last week, AUKUS is widely seen as an effort to counter China's influence in the contested South China Sea. Analysts have described it as probably the most significant security arrangement between the three nations since World War II. But French anger over the pact had been palpable. The French foreign minister called it a stab in the back. In a rare step among allies, Mr. Macron had ordered the recall of the French ambassadors to Washington and Canberra. However, the ambassador to Washington will now return to his post. There was no word whether the ambassador to Canberra would do the same. President Biden reaffirmed the importance of French and European engagement in the Asia-Pacific region. And the statement underlined United States recognition of the importance of stronger European defense, which France had been spearheading for years as a complement to the transatlantic NATO alliance. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and the French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian are expected to hold a bilateral meeting today on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. And more news stories unfolding. Humanity is reaching a turning point on climate change, the UK Prime Minister has said. A climate summit of world leaders in 40 days' time will be the turning point for humanity, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said in a speech to the United Nations. He warned that global temperature rises were already inevitable, but called on his fellow leaders to commit to major changes to curb further warming. 4 areas needed tackling: coal, cars, cash and trees, he said. The Prime Minister also said it was time to listen to the warnings of scientists. Setting the tone for November's meeting, he said countries must make substantial changes by the end of the decade if the world is to stave off further temperature rises. Mr. Johnson praised China's President Xi Jinping for his recent pledge to stop building new coal-fired energy plants abroad. But he called on the country, which produces 28% of global greenhouse gas emissions, to go further and end its domestic use of coal, saying the United Kingdom was proof that it could be done. The UK used coal to generate 25% of its electricity 5 years ago, but now it's down to 2%. Mr. Johnson said it would be gone altogether by 2024. The Prime Minister also said he did not see a conflict between the Green Movement and capitalism, saying that the whole experience of the COVID pandemic is that the way to fix the problem is through science and innovation. The breakthroughs and the investments that are made possible by capitalism and by the free markets. Elsewhere, the Prime Minister made a series of calls for action to his fellow leader. And now on business news. Cooking gas. Marketers lack facilities, says the NLNG. Price hits 7,000 naira. The management of the Nigerian LNG Limited has said that marketers do not have enough infrastructure to take up its liquefied petroleum gas supply. In an earlier report, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association has said that the major cause of the rising cost of cooking gas was the lack of adequate supply. The marketers claimed that foreign investors underestimated demand in the Nigerian market, resulting in marketers venturing into importation of the product. They advocated that the government should let the NLNG supply more gas to the market to reduce the cost. Reports from consumers reveal that the cost of refilling a 12.5 kilogram cylinder of LPG had risen to as high as 7,000 naira in some states. The marketers had also urged the government to remove cooking gas from the list of commodities subject to the payment of value-added tax. The marketing manager of the NLNG, Austin Ogbobo, in a response to the claim made by the IPMAN, said that the marketers did not have enough infrastructure to take up the gas the company supplied. He said NLNG has grown its capacity from 50,000 metric tons per annum to 450,000 metric tons per annum of LPG in the past 14 years. He assured the public that the company would grow its LPG capacity if it confirmed that distributors could take up additional supply. And still on business news, the ICRC issues business compliance certificate to the NIMASA. The Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission has issued a certificate of compliance for an outline business case for the operation of the modular floating dockyard acquired by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. NIMASA disclosed this in a statement after the Acting Director General of the Commission, Mr. Michael Uhiani, led a team of ICRC officers to the NIMASA headquarters in Lagos to present the certificate. Uhiani said the agency's outlined business case for the modular floating dockyards management contract to be operated, maintained and transferred under a public-private partnership agreement was in compliance with the ICRC Act 2005 and the National Policy on Public-Private Partnership. While speaking, while receiving the certificate of compliance, Director General of the NIMASA, Dr. Bashir Jamal, said the modular floating dockyard was a national asset. Jamal said issues such as security, accessibility, and existing complementary infrastructure on ground were considered in the development of a business case for the dockyard, which would be managed on a PPP basis with the NIMASA and the Nigerian Ports Authority on the one hand, and a management company on the other hand. He added that the ICRC would closely monitor the entire implementation process to ensure equity, fairness and profitability for the federal government. Right now, we will take a short break. When we get back from that break, I'll bring you news coming from the world of sports. I will be right back.
Two winners, 50 videos, Wonders Without Number raffle draw with Apostle Johnson Suleiman. This September, the world is itching to hear your testimony. Send your testimony videos now and stand a chance to speak with the Restoration Apostle Johnson Suleiman via private Zoom meeting, direct call or physical meeting. Send in your video testimonies now. You might just be that winner. Your time has come.
You're welcome back. Now news coming from the world of sports. Agbaje prepares for first fight in UK. National boxing featherweight champion Taiwo Agbaje says he's ready to make Nigeria proud as he eagerly looks forward to his first professional fight in the United Kingdom at the University of Bolton Stadium after being out of the ring for a long time. Agbaje, popularly known as Asepo, last fought in December 2019 due to a ban on sporting activities following the outbreak of coronavirus in Nigeria before his move to England last year. Agbaje is now due to have his fight on Sunday, September 26th, and the boxer said he was eagerly looking forward to it. Now in another sports news. AfroBasket. The Tigers face Ivory Coast in quarterfinal today. Defending champions, the Tigers will have a tricky encounter in their hands when they face Ivory Coast in the quarterfinal of the 2021 AfroBasket at the Palais Sports in Yaoundé, the Cameroonian capital, today. The Tigers qualified for the quarterfinals after finishing top of Group B with wins over Mozambique and Angola, while the Ivorians had an impressive group stage performance with a win over Tunisia. They lost their second group game 76 goals to 63 against favourites Mali, while defeating Guinea 81 goals to 50 in a quarterfinal qualifying match. The Nigerians will be hoping to retain the title for the third consecutive time after winning in 2017 and 2019. The Ivorians are currently ranked 55th in the world and 6th in Africa, and the Tigers will have to be wary of forwards Jefarima and Laetitia Sahai. Daiwara scored 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in their quarterfinal qualifying win against Guinea, while Sahai was the star performer of the Ivorians in their group stage loss to Mali. She scored 24 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, while contributing 14 points in their qualifying win against Guinea. However, the inclusion of team captain Adaora Elonu in the group stage top 5 players will be a boost for the Nigerians going forward. And despite having a quiet tournament, the 31-year-old finished the group phase with a respectable average of 11.5 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 steals from 2 games. Cameroon will face Egypt in the quarterfinal, while Senegal, who got an automatic qualification, will play Mozambique, who saw off Kenya 72 goals to 50 in the qualifying round on Wednesday. And we have come to the end of the news on Celebration TV News Desk. In case you missed the top stories, here is a quick rundown of the headlines. Reps abandon probe of NDDC road contracts. Uganda targets over 10% jobs before schools resume. The AUKUS pact France and US seek to mend a rift. Cooking gas, marketers lack facilities, says the NLNG. Price hits 7,000 naira. On sports, Agbaje prepares for first fight in the United Kingdom. And now to the photo of the day. That photo clearly says happiness is not the absence of problems. It is the ability to deal with them. Remember that happiness, they say, is free. You can share your thoughts about that photo of the day via our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are Celebration TV. On Instagram, My Celebration TV. On Twitter, at My Celebration TV. On YouTube, www.youtube.com/Celebration TV. Always bear in mind that your positive contribution to the wellness of the society you find yourself in or the organization you work defines your leadership might. As an individual who knows what to do and do so without expecting to be pushed has backed his way to success. Be it known today that everything we do, everything we think, everything we feel and believe either has a positive or a negative effect on humanity and our national well-being. Make sure you are a part of nation building today. I am Sherry Quinsley Brymer. Thank you for staying tuned on the news desk. Goodbye.
To 15.7 trillion naira by the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikule Amosu,